The member for McMahon.
Thanks, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Treasurer. Last year the Treasurer said, and I quote, "The government has made it crystal clear that we have no interest in increasing taxes on superannuation now or in the future." Does the Treasurer stand by this remark? Will the Treasurer rule out making changes to superannuation which reduce the retirement incomes of low and middle-income Australians?
The Treasurer has the call.
I thank the member for the question. If he was paying attention to my earlier answer, he would have noted that after the change of leadership last year, Mr Speaker, the Prime Minister put the full review of retirement incomes back on the table. That was the new policy setting of the government, Mr Speaker, and the new policy setting of the government is to look at what is the purpose of superannuation and run that rule over every aspect of how superannuation arrangements are devised, Mr Speaker, to ensure that people who are at risk of being on a pension or on a part pension, they are the focus of where those incentives must go, Mr Speaker. So what we are doing is to ensure that superannuation is fit for purpose, just like we ensured that the pension would be fit for purpose. Now, those opposite oppose the savings measures and oppose the measures that made the pension more sustainable, Mr Speaker, and we'll wait to see, once the government has finalised its views on this matter, Mr Speaker, and these are announced at the latest in the budget, Mr Speaker, whether they are prepared to support the second phase of our retirement incomes review. But what we know on this side, Mr Speaker, is we've been dealing with these issues sensibly and methodically. We haven't run out there, Mr Speaker, with the sort of grab bag of policies, the headline-grabbing stuff that the member for McMahon has done. As the Minister of Immigration has just reminded us, he is the architect of increasing capital gains tax by 50% on investment in this country. He is the architect of a policy which doesn't just deal with existing housing, as we learned in this House when we last met, Mr Speaker. He is the architect of a policy which is going to say that if you want to invest in a commercial building, that you can't negative gear that either, Mr Speaker. Or if you want to invest in shares and you are going to use those practices, you can't do that. Or indeed, in some cases, in distributions from partnerships and sole trader arrangements, Mr Speaker. And that the capital gains tax changes don't just apply, Mr Speaker, to property, that they go right across the full bore of assets that are subject to capital gains tax, Mr Speaker. Now, this is the architect of a tax, Mr Speaker, and a tax change that is going to punish investment at a time in the transitioning of our economy when investment is the key thing we need, Mr Speaker. That's why those opposite cannot be trusted to manage the transitioning of our economy, which is going to continue to deliver great prosperity for Australians, Mr Speaker. They can't be trusted. They have learnt nothing in their time in opposition from their disasters in government. Absolutely nothing, Mr Speaker. And as a result, those on this side of the House, I think, can look forward to the budget, Mr Speaker, with great promise, because what that budget will do, Mr Speaker, is it will focus on investment, it will focus on supporting Australians who are out there working and saving and investing every day, Mr Speaker, who are making that transition happen.